Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gajira. I am the Silver Dragon Gamer. So today's entry into our How Strong Can Link Get Without Any Dungeons and with No Glitches series is Skyward Sword for Wii, Wii U, and the Switch systems. It was originally released in 2011 to much complaint from the community for its bad motion controls and linear gameplay. And it is one of the few Zelda games that I have ever owned, but never completed. And after playing it again on the Switch, I definitely remember how bad the controls were and where it would make a lot of people upset. It annoyed me enough that I never finished it. And even getting updated for Switch controllers, they're still a bit wonky, but not nearly as bad as the original. It's mainly just the combat that gets a little weird in the new Switch systems. But since things are getting started, let's get into this. So Link wakes up to a bird dropping a letter off to him, and he is reminded that he has to compete in the wing ceremony later on today. So we're going to grab some rupees from our bureau and then head out of the room for a quick movement tutorial. Once that is done, it's on to help a fellow knight apprentice named Fledge move a barrel of food from the hallway into the kitchen. This is the first time that Link has the now annoying stamina bar. Here it's a wheel that slowly depletes as we do strenuous tasks like carrying a barrel or running. It can be instantly refilled in this game by using a stamina fruit, but those don't appear until a bit later on in the game. Fledge will pay us 20 rupees and we can head outside for our first glimpse at the city of Skyloft. Once the panoramic view is done, Link is hailed by Horwell up on a higher road beside the academy. We can get access to him by running up the side of the crates and jumping across to talk to him. He'll inform Link that Mia the cat is stuck on top of the academy and we have to go get it. This is done by hanging from a small ledge, climbing around the building, and then climbing up some vines onto the top. Once we have the cat, we bring it back to Horwell. That brings up another common complaint I've seen talked about for this game: too many fetch quests. Personally, as a long-time World of Warcraft player from back in vanilla, I'm used to doing excessive amounts of fetch quests, so it really isn't a big deal to me. Yes, they can be annoying, but it's just part of the storyline sometimes. But in a game like this, which is a little more action-oriented, I can understand where people would want to complain and have issue with it. Once we've completed that quest, it's on to the temple for a conversation with Zelda and her father. One thing I have noted in my research and playing this is that conversation choices in this game are absolutely meaningless. You can choose to be as nice or as rude as the conversation choices allow, and it has zero effect other than a small response in the moment on the overall gameplay. Making the conversations actually mean something and your choices have weight could have helped maybe alleviate some of the frustrations and some of the story problems that people have always had with this game, but alas, it's not meant to be. As Link and Zelda are preparing for the wing ceremony, Zelda drags Link over to a dock and pushes him off. And unfortunately, Link's pet bird is nowhere to be found, so Zelda has to jump on hers and rescue him to keep Link from falling to his death. Now Link has a mystery to solve. He has to find his unique red Loftwing because it has vanished. Link's father suggests that he report to Instructor Howl at the Knight Academy and have him report back to the headmaster. It's at this point that I'm going to demonstrate what happens to you when you don't pay close enough attention and fall off of Skyloft. You get saved by one of their Sky Knights and they put you back on a closest point of land. I'm going to actually do this a couple of times, as you'll see, but that's just me being me. Now we're off to help this kid who's trying to catch a bug that's living in this tree here, where we learn a quick tutorial about how to roll and slam into items. This nets us a little bit of rupees and helps the bug run away from the kid. At this point, Link's going to get out and confront his longtime bully, Gross, who is sitting in kind of their marketplace area. Gross is then going to proceed to bully Link and drop hints that he and his cronies are the ones that kidnapped Link's Loftwing, so Link couldn't compete in the wing ceremony today. Personally, I think this whole Loftwing section of the game could have used some kind of a timer to add a sense of urgency to it all. It wouldn't have had to have been long, but it would have felt better instead of just leaving you to wander around and do whatever for however long with no time constraints. Because supposedly the ceremony's getting ready to start, it wouldn't have to be short, but don't leave it open-ended. Now at this point we're going to go acquire a practice sword so we can move on with the game, and as you can see, I fell off the world once again. Now Pippin is going to call out to Link from the training hall entrance and make Fledge confess that he knows that Link's Loftwing is being held in a cave across the small lake and that Link will need a practice sword from the training hall to get the bird, because there are monsters in the cave. At this point, you go inside the sparring hall, open the door, and retrieve your practice sword from the chest in the back. Now begin a training tutorial on how to use the sword. This is just your standard training tutorial, so I'm going to go ahead and skip it and move on to the next section. With practice sword in hand and new skills learned, it's finally time to go save Link's red Loftwing. You head across the lake and up to the cave where Link hears his bird calling him. The entrance has spikes that you have to chop using your new skills, and inside the cave are two different monsters, the classic Keese and Choo-Choos. Now the Keese are a little bit more dangerous in this version of the game with this weapon because they require 2 hits with the practice sword being a very weak weapon, and the Choos only require 1. Choo-Choos also have an annoying ability to cling to your leg and slow you down, which makes you a little more vulnerable to the Keese attack, but they can be easily dispatched without too much issue. Once that's done, we can head into here with a little crawling, grab some quick rupees, and we're outside to another save point, where finally Zelda lands and greets Link one more time. Here Zelda begins to act a little bit weird and is actually hearing voices. But what we have to do is continue on down until we find this cave that's been boarded up with the bird inside. We chop away at the ropes and finally the red Loftwing is free and Link can enter the wing ceremony. Link and Zelda walk to the end of a dock and proceed to have a discussion about what might lie under the clouds that surround their flying city of Skyloft. They talk about lands of old and that someone, or something, is calling to Zelda constantly. Eventually, Link dives off of the dock and gets his flight tutorial, but we're going to skip that again and go straight to the wing ceremony. In the wing ceremony, we have to fly our Loftwing to try and catch a statue being carried by this yellow bird. This can be a bit tricky trying to master the controls of flying your own Loftwing. Even with a controller, it's hard. I can only imagine how bad this had to be trying to do it with a Wii's motion controls. It had to be absolutely abysmal. Eventually you should be able to catch up to the yellow bird and try to take the statue, but the first time you try to take it, Gross and his cronies will begin throwing eggs at Link and you have to begin again. This is a bit trickier now because not only do you have to try to catch the bird again, but you have to try to dodge the eggs that they throw. They don't hurt you, but they just slow you down. After you finally are able to catch up and take the statue, Zelda will jump onto your bird and have you fly back to the statue in the temple. Here, she'll replace the small statue in the big statue, and then she'll reward you with the sailcloth that she has been wearing as a shawl this whole time. The sailcloth is basically just a parachute, but it's not nearly as cool as the gliders from Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but in this particular game, it's actually useful. After she hands over the sailcloth, she urges Link to hurry up and finish out the wing ceremony. Now her idea of finishing the ceremony is for Link to dive off of the statue that they're standing on and try to land on a small circle down below using the sailcloth that he was just given to keep from splattering himself all over the ground. She pushes him off, and with a quick tutorial, Link lands down at the bottom unharmed. The two of them then decide to take off and go for a nice casual ride on their Loftwings. As they discuss the events of the day, and it appears that Zelda is about to confess something to Link, their ride is suddenly interrupted by a giant whirlwind that knocks them from their birds. As they flounder about, a blue figure appears in Link's vision and begins to tell him that the time has come for him to fulfill his mission. Link reaches for Zelda but misses and is flung towards Skyloft. He suddenly wakes up in his bed again with her father standing over him. Her father explains that a great black tornado appeared and battered the two of them and that now Zelda is missing. Link explains about his vision and the great mission he is supposed to complete. Her father is curious but leaves anyway. Link can now head out of his room where he is greeted by that same strange hovering blue lady from his vision. She will guide him back out of the Knight Academy and back to the temple. Here Link has to go around the temple and approach it from the backside. You'll be attacked by Mia the cat, but a couple quick swats sends the cat running. As you continue around the temple, various enemies will have to be dealt with, but they are the standard Keese and Choo-Choos at this point in the game, so are not very difficult. As Link climbs to the top, he runs around the temple statue, where he is greeted by an opening that was not there before. Link now has to enter and discover what is the Goddess Sword. your next evolution of your sword in this game. Now you're introduced to Fee, a character who was created to help the hero and act as his guide. Fee explains some more about history and what is going on with the dreams and who Zelda actually is. She will now finally allow Link to approach the Sword in Stone and allow him to remove the Goddess Sword, your first upgrade in this game. Zelda's father will enter the chamber and be surprised by what is going on. He will, however, be calm because he has known about the Goddess Sword and what its being removed means, because that information was passed from leader to leader through oral tradition. Now Fee will explain some more about the surface and give Link the first of the Emerald Tablets that will allow him to gain access to the surface world below the clouds. Also teach Link the Skyward Slash ability. After Link uses the slash ability on this emblem, it causes a small dais to raise where you can put the tablet. With the tablet in place, this causes a hole to open up in the clouds, thus allowing you access to the surface. Now that Link has the Goddess Sword and has opened a passage in the cloud, Zelda's father will congratulate him on being the chosen hero and offer him the clothing of a Knight of Skyloft so that he can be protected on his journey to save Zelda. After donning the traditional green outfit that Link wears in every game, he then can head out of his room to begin his adventure. However, outside of his door, he is greeted by Fledge, who will give him his first adventuring pouch. This is a 4-slot pouch that will allow Link to carry various consumable items around with him. Anything beyond 4 and he'll have to store it in inventory stock. Once we're done with that, we can head outside and get our first shield, just the wooden shield from Owlin here, right outside the door. Items like shields, slingshots, grappling hooks, and etc. can be upgraded in this game by visiting the blacksmith in the bazaar here, but we currently don't have any of the upgrade items needed to improve our shield. Instead, we're going to talk to the lady here at the potion shop who's going to give us an empty bottle, because we have to have something to carry our potions around in. Once we get the empty bottle from her, we can choose from any of her 5 potions, and usually the easiest one to start with is simply the red potion, which restores some hearts. Carries the air potion that slows oxygen loss, stamina potion that slows stamina loss, guardian potion so you take less damage. Each of those 3 last 3 minutes. There's also the revitalizing potion, which fixes a broken shield and heals 4 hearts. Once we have our potion, it's time to head below the clouds by jumping off the dock and calling for our red Loftwing. At this point, I'm going to call it because this video is getting very long, and I will pick this up and continue on in the next one. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you all in the next one.